Henry Graham Greene. Henry Graham Greene was a prolific English novelist, playwright, short story writer and critic whose works explored the ambiguities of modern man, ambivalent moral or political issues in contemporary setting. Although most of his works combine elements of the detective story, the spy thriller, and the psychological drama, his novels are essentially parables of the damned. Greene's heroes realize their sins and achieve salvation only through great pain and soul-searching agony. A Roman Catholic convert, he was intensely concerned with the moral problems of humans in relation to God. Greene objected strongly to being described as a mere Catholic novelist. Greene was born on the 2nd of October 1904 in Berkhamsted, Hertfordshire, the fourth of 6 children, son of Charles Greene and Marian Raymond Greene. His parents were first cousins and members of large and influential family. Graham went to Berkhamsted School where his father was a headmaster. Probably being the headmaster's son caused that Graham felt isolated and disliked among his equals. One day Graham left school and wrote to his parents that he did not wish to return. He made several attempts at suicide, tried to saw open his own knee, swallowed various poison substances. He even took 14 pills of aspirin and swam in the school pool. At age of 17, Charles sent his son to a therapy in London to treat his depression. Kenneth Richmond Graham's analyst had a deep effect on him. In 1922, Graham Greene went to Balliol College where he studied modern history. Greene's fascination with espionage was symbolized by his founding of the Manticorian Society, where members conducted themselves in disguise. At university he also played Russian roulette several times. He writes in his autobiography that he spent his university years being drunk and in debt. However, Greene gained experience as an editor at the Oxford Outlook. He developed an interest in politics after joining the Communist Party, and certainly improved his skills in writing. After graduation, Greene was employed in Nottingham Journal. Here in 1925 he fell in love with Vivian Daryl Browning and sent her 2,000 letters over just 2.5 years. In his writings he pointed out Catholic doctrine. In March 1926, Graham Greene moved to the Times. On 15 October 1927 he married Vivian. They had 2 children, a daughter Lucy, and a son Francis. In 1929 Greene published his first novel A Man Within, which caused that he left the Times and started to work full-time as a novelist. However, the following 2 books were not successful. Until in 1932 he achieved the first real success when Stamboul Train was published. The book was also adapted as a film, Orient Express. During the Second World War, he worked for the intelligence service in Sierra Leone under King Philby, and they used to drink together at the King's Arms behind St. James Street. Just prior to the Allied invasion of Europe, Graham Greene resigned from MI6. His departure was a surprise, but Greene later explained, "I moved out of MI6 because Philby wanted to promote me and I didn't wish to be promoted, and I also wished to go abroad if I could." On 20th November 1947, Graham Greene left Vivian. He had been having a romance with Dorothy Glover, but he had been obsessed with Catherine Walton, who previously was married to one of the richest men in England. Their relationship continued over 10 years. His post-war novels were often based in part on his experiences in the foreign lands. His most famous story, The Third Man, was released in 1949 as a feature film.
must feel very proud to be a police informer.
Harry, get away. The police are outside. Quick.
Anna.
Sir! The bank!
Greene was nominated for Academy Awards for the Best Screenplay in 1950 for The Fallen Idol.
Don't you dare. Leave it when it is.
It's not loaded and Vince keeps it safe to catch up.
Leave it be, Phil.
He's got bullets too.
Phil.
He also loved traveling. In 1950s he lived in Saigon, Hong Kong and Singapore. In 1953 he traveled to Kenya to report on the Momo uprising. The Quiet American was published in 1955 and was followed by Our Man in Havana. He moved to South France in 1966 to be close to Yvonne Claudet, whom he had known for several years until his death. During that time he wrote Travelers with My Aunt, which was eventually made into a film. Greene published a 2-volume autobiography, A Sort of Life, in 1971 and Ways of Escape, in 1980. The following year he was awarded the Jerusalem Prize for the Freedom of Individual and Society. Graham Greene was a candidate for the Nobel Prize for Literature several times. He never received the award. In the last years of his life he lived in a small resort city of Evie, on Lake Geneva, Switzerland. He died at the age of 86 and was interred in the cemetery in Cossier-sur-Evie.